Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new video of Happy Life. Well, today we'll discuss something on the very latest things or news that is happening all around us, and that is the outbreak of a very serious disease that is caused by something called coronavirus. Many people say that it has started, well, it's a fact, it has started from the Wuhan city of China, and it is spreading very fast to other parts of the world as well. So around 500 people have been affected till now, and nearly 130 deaths have already occurred due to this coronavirus. Well, we are not going to talk about those coronavirus in this video. I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor or a virus researcher kind of person. So here I'm going to discuss something very general that a layman should know about virus. Today I had an argument with my friend that we had read in our textbooks, that is, virus is neither living or a non-living being. As we had read in textbook, but we had never gone deeper into that to understand what exactly is that. So after going through many articles, what I knew is I want to share with you. A virus is a thing because it cannot reproduce or cannot live by itself. It's not called as a fully living organism. It cannot perform its own functions. It doesn't have any organs or cells to perform its own functions. So it has to go to some other living being cell to carry out its own activities. And mostly those activities are to reproduce more and more of their kind, or reproduce more and more viruses. Well, friends, viruses can be said to consist of like 2 to 3 things. One is like they have some genes. Everybody has genes. We humans have a lot of genes within us, but virus genes are something like 11 to 20 genes. They're very simple, so very easily they can reproduce themselves. So they have something called genes. And the part which virus contain is called protein. Those protein are the very thing that protects their genes. So it gives a covering element of protection of those genes. And in some viruses, there's another layer called fats, which further gives another layer of coating to protect the virus. And if you say about the size of a virus, it is very small, even smaller than bacteria. If we say that a bacteria is like 1000 nanometer, viruses will be like from 20 to 300 nanometers. It is mostly from 1/4 or 1/3 of a size of a bacteria to nearly 1/50th of a size of a bacteria. Well, to imagine this size, I just want you to think that it needs something like 7 lakhs of viruses. If they form a line in chain, then it will take like 7 lakh viruses to form 1 centimeter of 1 centimeter length distance. So it is that small. It can only be observed through very high powerful electron microscopes. So basically, when a virus infects some living organism cell, what exactly it does? When it infects, it actually replicates or makes the living organism cell to produce more and more viruses of their kind. Well, it makes the cell copy the DNA or RNA of a virus and starts producing proteins or viral proteins, which further produces more and more viruses inside the body. So this is basically the function, and it happens in some stages, 5 to 6 stages that I'm going to say. The first stage is called attachment. Well, first viruses go and try to bind with the outer wall of the cell of living organisms. Well, here for your information, that similar kind of viruses attach to similar cells. Like plant viruses can only attach or bind with plant cells. Similarly, the animal viruses can only attach to animal cells. So after attachment, there's another stage called penetration. Well, in penetration stage, it tries to penetrate inside the cell by something which can be called as fusion. So here the viruses enter inside the cell wall and penetrates into the cell. After this stage, there is something called uncoating. When a virus enters into the cell, it starts to destroy something called viral capsid by virus enzymes. So with the help of cell enzymes also, that exposes the virus nucleic acid. Well, the next stage is called replication. Well, in this process, the cell, the host cell or the living body cell, start using the virus DNA or RNA to produce more virus proteins, which further helps in producing more virus inside the body. And the cell uses the virus DNA or RNA to produce this virus protein, which further helps the virus to produce more and more viruses. And this production is actually called assembly stage, where these proteins and nucleic acid of the cell combine to produce more and more viruses inside the cell. And after this process, there's something called a release. Release means when hundreds of viruses are formed inside a cell, they burst the cell to release themselves out of that cell, of course. So this is called release stage, and here the cell itself gets destroyed. The living being cell gets destroyed. So these are the stages how virus perform or goes through inside this living cell or living organism cell. So as explained right now, that these are the stages where a cell dies. So that thing happens inside a living organism body. When virus infect a person, they usually destroy the cell by the stage of release, where the cell burst, or sometimes it also called a term which is called apoptosis, which also means as cell suicide, when the cell membrane is also affected by the virus. And sometimes the cell also dies by stopping its normal activities, which is done by production of more and more viral proteins, as I had explained before in that stage, that second stage. So this is how the cell inside a living body dies when the virus attacks. So having said all these things, so let us see how to prevent, or what are the antidotes, or what are the things that help us overcome these viral infections. Well, firstly, doctors try to prevent the symptoms of the diseases, which is, or the infection that is caused by viruses. But mind it that antibiotics that we use for infection can only treat bacterial infections, not viral infection. Viruses are immune to antibiotic things, so antibiotic won't help. So you can only wait for your own immune system to overcome the viruses inside the body for small cold or flu by containing the symptoms like fever or cough or anything else. And for serious things like serious diseases, there are two things. One is vaccination. Well, this vaccination usually causes a natural infection without causing the disease itself. So it helps as if creating some kind of immune boosting against those particular viruses. So it's some kind of a weakened viruses inserted into our body. So this is a prevention or a thing that is given before the disease happen. This is vaccination. Another thing is antiviral drugs. Well, these drugs have come off late in 1980s or 90s. Those are also used for attacking or treatment of viral infections such as AIDS, HIV. It actually, the antiviral drugs actually, they interfere with the stages that I had discussed before, how the life cycle of a virus go through. They interfere with that. They prevent even to attach a virus with a cell. So from the starting stage itself, they prevent. So this is how antiviral drugs work. And many antiviral drugs also stop viruses from replicating or reproducing themselves by some mechanism that is very complicated, like something like creating a fake building blocks for those viruses to grow, which are actually fake. So I won't go deep into that. It's a general discussion. These are the ways how virus infections are nullified or attacked upon or treated. So friends, this is what I had to say in this video about viruses. So I hope at this point where every year some new kind of viruses are coming up, it's quite astonishing for all of us that how this kind of viruses are coming up from animals like Ebola in Africa, this coronavirus in China. So it becomes quite important for us to know what at all a virus is. I hope this video was quite informative and useful for you. If you like this, please hit the like button, and if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, please hit the subscribe button to get more of such informative things generally happening all around us, around the world. So till our next video, keep watching Happy Life. See you again. Thank you.